Whoa, how'd I get here? Guess it must be time for my Oscar predictions, this time for November of 2022. So the Gotham Award nominations went up a couple of days ago, and we got some very interesting things that happened there. I will talk about them a little bit more in detail as we get to the specific categories, but I do want to say don't take 100% stock into what they've nominated, as it is more of a critics branch, and also they've set limitation on what they can nominate because it's more indie style films. They can't nominate anything, a movie that has spent a certain amount of money on its production, so you won't see certain pictures getting nominated there, so you kind of have to work around those ideas. But what we can do is take a look at the actors, the actresses, maybe even the screenplays that they nominated, and kind of get an idea of what the critics might be doing moving forward into the award season. So some exciting stuff going on there. Let's go ahead and jump right into my best pictures. My best pictures are exactly the same as last month. Okay, look, just because they are visually the same doesn't mean my thought process is the same. Last month I said that I thought we had 4 very strong frontrunners with Everything, Fabelmans, Women Talking, Babylon, and I do still think that's true, but I'm now ready to include Banshees and Tar into that conversation as well. I was a little bit hesitant to, since the films hadn't really fully released at the time to the general audience, so I really wanted to see what their reaction was before I solidified them being here, if you will. And now that we do have those positive reactions, I do think we can see a possibility where any one of these 6 films can go home with Best Picture. Now, I don't think it's going to be a race between all 6 throughout the entire award season, as we see critics kind of gravitate to 1 or 2. I think we're going to see more of a race between maybe just those 2 or maybe even 3 of them. But man, I would love to see like a race between all 6 throughout the entire award season. And then please don't forget that sometimes we do have those last minute surges, such as with Coda last year, where we were pretty sure it was going to be Power of the Dog the entire way, and then Coda comes in right at the last minute and then goes over the finish line first. So yeah, you just never know with these type of things. But as of right now, I do see a future where any one of these is crowned Best Picture at the Oscars. My 7, 8, and 9 are also exactly the same, but I do have to talk about All Quiet on the Western Front. Last month I mentioned that Decision to Leave, I didn't place it on here because the reviews for them haven't been as powerful as All Quiet on the Western Front was. And, well, I gotta eat my words, because after that film came out, we did get the general release of Decision to Leave, and it's doing very, very well, not just with the critics, but also with the general audiences as well. So yeah, I can see Decision to Leave maybe get into Best Picture instead. And the only reason I haven't made the switch yet is 2 things, really. First, the major consensus kind of that I see is that maybe this isn't Park Chan-wook's best film, but that being said, a lot of people are like, doesn't matter, it's still a really great film. So I don't know, just that saying alone kind of makes me think maybe All Quiet on the Western Front instead. But the second thing is that I think All Quiet on the Western Front just has more potential to get into many more categories. I know that isn't always the deciding factor when it comes to these things, but I don't know, just maybe as people start to tick off the other categories, it's just All Quiet just keeps sticking into their minds. So when we get to Best Picture, maybe that's where they kind of put it in. Again, that's just my train of thought right now. I can easily see Decision maybe going into it instead. And then here's another thing. I don't know where this rule of, only one international feature film is going to get into Best Picture came from. I think it's just a rule that we set upon ourselves, and that's not true. You can have, I believe, as many as you want in that Best Picture lineup. So can't we potentially see both of them getting in? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the mindset of the voters is they think they can only do one, so maybe it is wise just to put one. But I don't know. If they're both great films, why not put them into Best Picture? So just one of those weird things. Still have Black Panther, still have Avatar. I do think Avatar is going to have a huge surge when it finally releases. In fact, I want to make a prediction. Unless the film just flat out sucks, I think we're going to see a lot of people start to put it in their top 10 after that film comes out and it starts to do fucking amazing in the box office. We'll see those people kind of jumping on the bandwagon of the new hotness, if you will. So always happens, always fucking happens. Black Panther is about to release as of the timing of this recording, and in fact, by the time this video comes out, it's probably already out. So either I made the right choice in putting it on my top 10, or I'm eating my words right now and everybody's gonna be knocking it off. So yeah, you let me know what you think. You'll notice my number 10 spot is blank. And that's because, well, I do feel somewhat confident in my numbers 1 through 9. I just don't have anything else that I do feel any confidence to. It's one of those things where I could place this one, but there's also this to think about. So I thought instead of just placing something random there, let's go ahead and talk about the possibilities that it can be. First, Till, which is doing really goddamn good right now. You got Danielle Deadwyler, pretty much a shoo-in for Best Actress. A lot of people actually backstepping a lot of the comments that they said before watching the film, myself included. I even said the trailer makes it look like it's just going to be trauma porn, and that's about it. But after seeing the film, a lot of people are just kind of blown away by Danielle's performance, and a lot of them are apologizing now, saying, oh, you know, I should have seen the movie first. And I think this kind of backstepping is kind of placing it on a pedestal. And when you see the Rotten Tomatoes score of like 98%, you would think, holy shit, yeah, that's going to be definitely getting into Best Picture. But when you read the individual reviews, I don't know, it still comes off as an underwhelming movie, except for certain elements of it, especially Danielle. So I don't know, I'm hesitant there. I also don't know where else it would get nominated into. So there's a couple of possibilities, but again, just not 100% confident there. I also had Glass Onion as a possibility. This is one that I had last month, but again, I don't know if this is going to go all the way, especially because apart from picture and writing, what else is it going to get? Maybe production design, but if it's lucky. But I just don't see Glass Onion being one of those films that gets a production design nomination. She Said, that one had its world premiere a few weeks ago. It's just about to have its full release. I kind of want to wait to see what the general audience reaction to the film is. I think right now most people are saying, yeah, it's fine, it's solid enough. So if general audiences are on board, then yeah, maybe it could sneak in. But once again, where else is it gonna get nominated? I know that isn't always the deciding factor. I've said that multiple times, but it does kind of make me pause when I see its lack of possible nominations. Maybe The Whale. A lot of people do still have this in their top 10. I mean, Brendan Fraser's a shoo-in for Best Actor. So yeah, maybe The Whale gets nominated for Best Picture. But I see so much hate for it as well. Like, there's some people that do love it, and there's some people that fucking loathe it. So maybe that kind of split makes it so it doesn't get enough votes to get in. Maybe it goes to a film that hasn't come out yet, like I Want to Dance with Somebody or Emancipation. That Will Smith's pretty hot right now, right? Alright, first, I have no hope in I Want to Dance with Somebody. Its trailer is fucking awful, which I know isn't always an indication of how the film's gonna be, but I don't know. I think we're all sick and tired of these biopics about musicians and things like that. Yeah, I think that's like the major consensus right now, so I'm not too feeling it with that one. Emancipation, I really gotta see. I think there's still gonna be some backlash with Will Smith. Granted, I do know that now there's some other backlash with Chris Rock, so people just like to play favorites. They're like, oh, Will Smith's been beaten down enough, that's to give it to Chris Rock now, and it's this whole fucking drama bullshit that I hate. So yeah, I gotta see the film first before I make any decision there. Maybe Empire of Light. I know the critic reviews haven't been the kindest to the film, but I still think general audiences could very well love the film. This could easily be one of those films where you see like this ginormous split between critics and the general audiences. So I think as more critics that aren't like the snooty bunch maybe see it, we could see the Rotten Tomatoes score kind of shift in that area, and you never know, could sneak in. And this is one that it could get other nominations as well. Maybe Top Gun Maverick. Maybe I just need to jump on board that train wagon, but I don't know. I'm just not 100% buying it. Maybe I'll eat my words, and if I do, so be it. I wouldn't hate for it to get in. Something in the back of my mind's telling me, it's not gonna be Top Gun. Just don't do it. So I don't know. That's me. If you have confidence in it, great. I don't just yet. Maybe The Woman King. This one had a quick little surge. I feel like it's died down since it's released. Like, I don't see a lot of people talking about it anymore, but again, it's a film that could get multiple nominations, so maybe it sneaks into Best Picture as well. And then, of course, Elvis. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, Elvis just seems like like a type of film that's gonna get into Best Picture. It can get so many nominations. People are liking it. Critics don't hate the film either. It's fine. It's just not one of those reviews you write home about. So I don't know. So as you can see, every single one of these movies is making me double think, if you will, like second guess myself. Where I'm like, oh yeah, it's a strong possibility, but this is going against it. So out of all these, take your pick, place it in my number 10. It's a team effort. All right, moving on to director, and while my top 4 are pretty much exactly the same, I did put Park Chan-wook for his decision to leave, which maybe some of you are thinking, but why would you put him if you got All Quiet on the Western Front in Best Picture? Shouldn't then you put Decision to Leave? And look, it's all really fucking complicated, but I gotta first and foremost say, I do think we're probably gonna get another international director here. For the last 4 years now, we've had one for the respective international film. So I do think we're going to get another one. It's great that the director branch is trying to honor people that maybe like the American audience or the English speaking audience might not know about, and put them up on this pedestal where other people can kind of find their work. And the problem here is that Berger really hasn't been around long enough to warrant that yet. Again, one of the rules we've kind of set upon ourselves, you could easily nominate both, but obviously not. With 5 nominations, it's probably less likely here. But Park is well respected. He's had a long career, so I could see him being the one that they want to kind of nominate there. And here's another little interesting thing. What we have had for the last 4 years, that international director, it hasn't been so with picture. Think about it. We have had Roma, we've had Parasite, but then we missed for another round. We thought another round was going to get into Best Picture, but it didn't. We didn't get that international feature film in Best Picture. So it skipped a year. So does that mean that director's more likely to get that international nomination than picture is? I don't know. Maybe the rule is there is no rule, just sometimes trends start and then they stop and so on and so forth. So that's one of the beautiful things about predictions. You're trying to guess at what everybody's mind is thinking. So there you go. Okay, let's talk about the performances. And now we're going to discuss Gotham as well. So please keep in mind that with their actors and actresses, they do lump them together into one category. Same with their supporting actors and supporting actresses. And while a majority of them you can kind of, not have to worry too much about because they are from much smaller films. Those films that the Oscars are probably never going to touch or consider. I think you do have some telltale signs of where the nominations are going to be heading. And so, Cate Blanchett, Danielle Deadwyler, Michelle Yeoh. Those 3 got in. They seem like your very strong frontrunners right now. Michelle Williams is on here. Why? Why did I throw her in here, especially after taking her out last month? Well, the reason for it is because while they couldn't nominate her, because it goes against the rule of films that have a certain, it goes above a certain budget, they are going to be giving her an honorary award, if you will, which makes me think that it's kind of their unofficial nomination or way of celebrating her, if you will. So that makes me think, okay, she's most likely going to be getting in. I don't know if it's going to be for lead actress. Most likely it is, just because, again, she has respect within the industry. But it really made me think, okay, if that's a really unofficial nomination of her, if you will, most likely she's going to be getting into Best Actress. So that's why I had to throw her back in there. But then that leads me to the difficult choice of who the fuck am I kicking out? Am I kicking out Olivia Colman or am I kicking out Margot Robbie? And my brain is telling me it should have been Olivia Colman, just because the film that it's attached to isn't being received the best. But I'm not going to do that just yet. Because first, Olivia Colman is the one thing that everybody's unanimous about being great in that film. But second, we don't fully have Babylon yet. I know those early kind of test runs have been fantastic. A lot of people say Margot is a fucking amazing, but maybe it was amazing because they hadn't seen any of the other performances that we've now gotten. Maybe that's a possibility, and maybe Margot just misses altogether. Not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it is a possibility. So that's kind of how I moved around here. But yeah, this is not a done deal. I can easily see this changing multiple times. We still got a few months left, so yeah, don't take this 100% seriously just yet. For actor, it's pretty much the exact same. All I did was I swapped Colin with Austin Butler here. And for going back to Gotham here, obviously Brendan Fraser, top tier. He's going to get nominated. The thing that is most interesting here is that Colin Farrell did get nominated at Gotham, but not for Banshees. I think that's because it's international. I don't know if they have a rule that says, oh, we can't nominate the international actors into actors. I might be wrong about that, but if it is, and they put him in After Yang as a kind of, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we think he's great, he definitely deserves a nomination for Banshees, but since we can't do that, we're going to do for After Yang. I'm obviously reaching here, but if that's how we are to interpret that, then yeah, I think now maybe Colin is just a little bit step above Austin here. And Austin didn't get the nomination. Now, again, that could very well be because it's one of those films that goes over its budget. But unlike Michelle Williams, where they're at least doing some honorary award for her, Austin isn't getting that. Maybe still too young, so they can't justify it, but I don't know. It's just a way that this could fly. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe because they couldn't do anything for him. He doesn't get nominated, but he's still number 2. It's anybody's guess right now. So that's what I have there for you. And then the last two are still the last two. Is Hugh Jackman going to get out for The Sun? Who knows? It's a possibility. And then Bill Nye, I just think, I almost think he is definitely going to be getting in, but it is going to be one of those, it's an honor to get nominated nominations. Okay, so supporting actress is getting very, very interesting. For Gotham, we had Jessie Buckley get in, but we didn't have Claire Foy. And after that, I started kind of seeing other people's predictions and kind of reviews of women talking. And while people do praise the cast and they do praise Claire Foy, I do see that more people are on Jessie's side when it comes to nominations. So bear with me here. If it turns out that Claire doesn't manage to get in, and Jessie Buckley does, I think that puts her at the very top. Because right now you either had Jessie at number 1 or Claire at number 1, and then the other at number 2. And so if it is between those two, and one of them drops, wouldn't that just place the other one at the top? The argument I was making before is if they both get in, they're going to split the votes, which gives somebody else a chance to kind of come in and take the win. But I mean, that kind of eliminates that if one of them just doesn't make it. So yeah, as of right now, I'm throwing Jessie in there. I'm going to take Claire out. Obviously that can change, but that's what I have for you. Carrie Condon. Once again, you had Banshees getting nominated at Gotham for International. You had Colin getting nominated for After Yang. If it is the way that I'm reading it, maybe they do have a lot of love for Banshees as well. And if that's the case, then I do think Carrie comes along with the nomination. But Hong Chow did get a nomination at Gotham. So if you have her at your number 2, that makes complete sense to me. I do think you just have those 3 strong possibilities. Now, Stephanie Sue did not get in, and that's a goddamn shame. And it makes me think that, critics are still on the train of thought that she's not as good as the other one, so they're not going to give her the nomination. And that's a goddamn shame. So I am knocking her down 1 spot. Nina Haas. Now, based on what Gotham did, they fucking love Tar. But I mean, that's just to be expected. It's critics. I think Tar is going to be your big critic movie for the rest of the awards season. And so maybe the Oscars will follow suit in certain regards. I don't know if they're going to have quite as big a love for it as just the critics. But But Nina Haas seems like one of those actresses that could surprise on Oscar morning. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and place her in there. Just know that I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I have seen Tar. I do think she's great. She just doesn't have that quite Oscar moment, if you will. Not that that should matter, but I do think it's something that maybe a lot of people think about when they're doing their nominations and predictions. For supporting actor, I still have Ke Huy Quan at number 1. I think this is a very smooth road for him thus far, though I do still think Ben Whishaw could be surprising here and there. Brendan Gleeson still on here as well. It's the final two that I really want to talk about. First, you'll see Paul Dano. I finally kicked him out. As much as I would love for him to get a nomination, I can't deny that this is probably not going to be his year for it. And as such, who knows if we're going to see him nominated anytime soon. I think he definitely has an uphill battle with not getting nominated. Not that it's not a possibility, but if it happens, yeah, I think that's one of those Oscar fuckeries. It's like that. I was saying last month, it's like a poison dagger almost. Judd Hirsch. I think The Fableman's going to be very big at the Oscars. It's easily one of those films where it's like, oh, The Fableman comes in with the most nominations at fucking 12 or 13. And yeah, it's just, I think you're going to have one in supporting actor here. Now, Brian Tyree Henry. This is one that Gotham actually nominated. And it's one that can easily be dismissed just because, well, that film is pretty good from what I hear. I don't think it packs enough punch for a lot of people. Like, they wanted it to go further. It stops just short of it. But the performances in it, I hear, are really good. And the number one performance that I hear most people talk about is Brian Tyree Henry. So maybe we get a surprise nomination for him. He is having a year, so that would be a really nice surprise. As of now, I'm going to put him in, but it doesn't solidify him getting in. It's just what I would really like to see. My screenplays really haven't changed all that much. Original is still pretty much exactly the same, and I don't really have any change to my thought process on this. It just is what it is. So for adapted, I'm going to talk just a little bit on this one. I do still think Women Talking is your front runner here, with no real other Best Picture competitor against it. I do think it's pretty much smooth sailing for Women Talking as of right now. I don't know. I'm not 100% confident with a lot of the other ones. I do think Glass Onion has a good chance of getting in. I threw White Noise in there. This is one of those films that when it came out, it was fine. Like, nobody was raving about it, and then it kind of died off for a little bit. A lot of people were dismissing it getting any nominations whatsoever. But then as it started getting into more people's hands and people actually started seeing it, some people actually started taking back their words, saying, hey, this is actually pretty good. I can see it getting in for at least writing. So I'll follow suit and throw it into writing for now as well. But yeah, it's pretty much all exactly the same. I don't think this is your final list, but there's got to be some semblance of a final list here somewhere. Film editing. So for film editing, there's always two types of films that get in. First is your Best Picture nominees. Second is action films. It also tends to go to films where you notice the editing. Not that it's distracting, but ones where you can see the quick cuts and everything that they do within it, where people are like, oh, wow, that's impressive. And so when you think about that, you think Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? Here's the interesting thing, though. The film that has gone on to win Best Editing in the last few years now has not gone on to win Best Picture. So if I have it winning here for editing, does that mean that I shouldn't be predicting it for Best Picture? Well, again, just the way that my mind works, but I don't think that's always necessarily the case. I think you could see that dry spell finally broken, or you can make that argument where, yeah, everything came out so long ago now, and by the time the Oscar nominations come around and then the Oscars, so much time will have passed that people are just kind of ready to move on. So I don't know, that's there for you. Babylon, I mean, just looking at the trailer, it looks like it's going to have really sick editing, so I'm excited for that one. Top Gun Maverick, especially with all those flying scenes. I mean, you need good editing to make that super exciting, kind of jumping back and forth, and it not just being jets in the sky, if you will. All Quiet on the Western Front, action. It's also a possible Best Picture contender. This seems like a shoo-in for the editing nomination. And then The Fabelmans. This is one where maybe you don't notice the editing. Maybe it's not super flashy or anything like that, but it's a front runner for Best Picture, so you just kind of have to include it into this category. I think you can make the argument with Women Talking as well. I guess Banshees and Tar would also be there, but yeah, I think Fabelmans is the one that is going to have so many nominations that you just kind of can't deny that possibility. So it's getting in here for now. Production design. Now, production design is a category I really like. I think it's one of those films that, or is one of those categories that, if they just put more focus on it at the Oscars, it could really show all the hard work that goes into building these sets and these locales, all this stuff. They don't. It's always like a quick little, like showing like, oh, here's the rough sketches, here's the final product. So that's always a shame. But with this one, you always want to consider being transported into another world in this grand and luxurious way. And there's no better type of film that does this than ones that transport you back to the golden days of Hollywood. It's the Circle Jerk production, and thus Babylon is my number one, because those old farts in Hollywood love fucking nostalgia. I guess everyone does, but the old farts in Hollywood especially. Despite it, this movie taking place, I guess now 100 years ago? No, they don't fucking remember that time, but they like to think they do. Avatar: The Way of Water, I do believe that one got a production design when it first for the first one. Did it go on to win? I don't remember. But yeah, just it getting nominated there makes me think I have to think about it getting nominated here. Same with Black Panther, got to think about it getting the nomination there, so it might do that again here. Although I guess with sequels, you always have the possibility of maybe getting too much of the same thing, like that been there, done that mentality. I don't think that needs to 100 be in people's minds when nominating, but it's true. If they don't switch it up enough, it could be one of those kind of stale things where you're like, yeah, what else you got for us? Elvis, obviously you got the grand sets, you've got all the different locales, so that one seems like a shoe-in. And then The Fabelmans, just kind of like with film editing, it's a front runner for Best Picture, so with The Fabelmans, I don't know, I just picture it. Oh, most nominations, 12 nominations, 13, what the fuck have you. And then this just happened to be one of the ones it gets into. Cinematography, the Douchey Award, which is funny because I think everybody loves cinematography. We just don't say the word cinematography. How many people do you follow on Instagram, fucking Snapchat, Twitter, whatever, and then they posting up like videos of them like in like this nice little area. It's like, oh, look at the scene from this mountain, or look at this river. That itself is a form of cinematography. It's just the word cinematography sounds douchey, so I think a lot of people tend to think, oh, there's like the pretentious award. That being said, Babylon, I don't think this is your front runner, but again, just looking at the trailer and just the scenes, especially when they're doing the actual filming in the film, there's some really nice shots there. Top Gun Maverick, I think, is also a no-brainer. Again, you got those sky scenes. You have to make it look very grand and majestic. Easily a shoo-in for cinematography. Avatar: The Way of Water, I think this one won last time. And even if it didn't, again, if it got nominated, you have to think of the possibilities of the sequel getting nominated as well. Empire of Light. So I know I started off with not placing Roger Deakins for Empire of Light. Then the following month I was like, oh shit, I fucking made a mistake. Of course Roger Deakins is going to get in. And then as the film came out and not a lot of people were really enjoying it, I took him back off. And now I'm back on that bandwagon again because it is fucking Roger. So why wouldn't I think he's going to get in? So I'm just going back and forth on this one. And who knows, maybe I'll knock him off again before bringing him back. And yeah, there's too many things to think about. Lastly, All Quiet on the Western Front. I think just looking at the trailer and some of the tracking shots and things like that, it does look like it's going to have great cinematography. I'm not 100% convinced on this one. I need to see the film, but I do think it's a strong possibility as well. Moving on, costume. Costume is actually super freaking exciting this year. There is so much potential, which is great. Unlike last year where Cruella was obviously going to take it home. You saw that film, you're like, yeah, it's a done deal. Costumes itself this year is going to be a battle. Babylon, of course, I'm throwing that one there at my number 1 for now, but again, it's not guaranteed that that one's going to go home with it. You've got Black Panther on there. You've got Elvis. You got Everything Everywhere All at Once with some of those luxurious costume designs. I threw The Woman King on there. I think that has great costumes as well, and we could see that nomination come in. But there's so much more. You've got The Fablemans. You've got Empire of Light. You have small ones like Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. There is so much potential for costumes. This one's going to be super duper exciting to see what ends up happening. On the other hand, makeup and hairstyling is almost a done deal at this point. It's either going to go to The Whale or it's going to go to The Batman. Like, those two, I'm like almost 100% convinced are going to get in, and one of those two is going to win. So, I mean, apart from that, Elvis, Black Panther, Babylon, those are also strong possibilities, but I mean, there's just no denying the top 2 spots here. So, I don't know. I think I'm just going to end up repeating myself over and over when we get to this category from here on out. I mean, unless something else comes out that like fucking blows us away, I think this is your done deal here. Animated feature film, I took off Wendell and Wild. That sucked. So, I don't think that's going to get in. I know some people are still playing with the possibility of it getting in. I mean, maybe, but I really did not like that film at all. Still got Strange World on here. Turning Red. Could we see like that movie just kind of cruise throughout the entire year? It's possible, but a lot of people are throwing their chips on Pinocchio right now. This is one that a lot of people are super excited about. Maybe it's because Guillermo del Toro's attached to it, and he is a fucking brilliant visionary. But if you know me, I'm not the hugest Guillermo fan. I do think in terms of story and pacing, sometimes his films don't quite deliver. Not all the time, but more often than not. But if anything, I am just excited to see the world that creates. I do think that's where his brilliance lies. My Father's Dragon, I hear some people talking about this one. I've heard it for a while now. I just wasn't ready to put it on there. Now that Wendell and Wild I'm kicking out, I'm more than ready to throw it on there. Until I see it and possibly don't like it. So we'll find out soon enough. And then Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Again, we don't know if this is really going to get into here, but I think animated's not doing so strong this year, so I think more and more we are seeing that possibility. International feature film is a fight between two, and that, of course, is All Quiet on the Western Front and Decision to Leave. And if one of those ends up getting into Best Picture, then it's done deal here as well. Which is why it's exciting if both of them end up getting into Best Picture. We really do see a fight here. That would be freaking amazing. So, probably not gonna happen. Yeah, but it'd be cool. Apart from that, my other three are the exact same. Nothing much has changed there. For documentary feature, I still have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. Have you guys seen that trailer, by the way? Fucking excellent trailer. From, I believe, the director of Citizen 4, if I saw it correctly. Which, I mean, if you guys remember Citizen 4, that was a fucking gut punch. Yeah, there's that one. Although, can I just say, we haven't talked about the documentary curse this year. Could that be All the Beauty and the Bloodshed? Or could it be Fire of Love, where everybody was saying it was definitely going to get in? It was like everybody's number one for the longest time, and then it just shocks you by not getting in. So, I don't know. We've had the curse for the last couple of years. I know it's bullshit, but it's just exciting to think about an actual curse always killing one of the front runners. I mean, it's very aggravating, but I don't know. It's one of those stupid things that I like to think about. Threw the Janes back on there. Saw Descendant. That one's pretty good. Not perfect. I wanted to go a little bit further, but I do think it has the possibility of getting in. And yes, I do still have Navalny at number 5. I'm not ready to get rid of it just yet, but man, is it teetering so close on the edge for me. I'm just like, I don't know if people are going to remember it by the time the Oscars come out. It might just drop right on off. So there's that for you. And then sound. Just sound. So Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, I mean, again, what type of action film sound does come very heavily with it. All Quiet on the Western Front, gunfire, explosions, that obviously has sound to it, where you notice the goddamn sound. Avatar: The Way of Water, I think that one got a sound nomination or possible win. But again, like I said, if the first one gets the nomination, you gotta think of the possibilities of the second one getting in as well. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, same boat there. And then here's a question for you. Why aren't people putting Tar on sound? I know it's not a film that when you see the trailer, you think about sound. And really, truthfully, honestly, when you have a Best Picture contender that's kind of this not actiony film, it's just kind of like this slow type of burn type film. Even though if it has great sound, you don't normally predict it, but after seeing that movie, sound is a huge fucking part of the film. You notice the sound. You notice the sound in it. It is just so blatant in your face, the way that the sound plays into the film. Why aren't we thinking of the possibility of Tar getting a sound nomination? Please answer me that, because that was like the first thing I was thinking about coming out of the theater. Just like, wait a minute. I know some people are putting it outside of their 5, but nobody's seriously thinking about Tar and sound? I don't know, that sounds weird to me. I'm throwing it on here for now. I think it would be a very worthy nomination. Original score, John Williams goes up to number 1. This is his final score. He's retiring after this one. So yeah, I think not only is it a strong possibility he's getting in, I think it's a very strong possibility they're going to give him the Oscar. One final huzzah, and if he does win, he will hold the record for the oldest person to take home the Oscar, beating out Ennio Morricone for the exact same category only a few years ago. So, I mean, John Williams is great, and it'd be an honor to hold that I don't know, record, I guess you would say. Batman, though, oh, I really want Batman's score to get in there. People have started knocking it out of their top 5, thinking, yeah, it's probably not going to, but I fucking love that score. I really want it to get in. Black Panther, if you guys saw my top 10, or my ranking of the scores, you got the exact same composer, so of course you got to think of the possibility of him getting nominated once again here. Women Talking with Hildur. I saw some people actually knocking this one off and putting Tar on there. And while I do think Tar has fucking great sound, I think score is another matter. Some people think that Women Talking is the better score from her. So I haven't seen that one yet. I gotta wait to hear it out. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go score with Tar personally. And then Babylon, I think Damien, especially with his kind of musical background, I think he's always going to have like pretty good scores to his movies, excuse me. So I just think that's a pretty strong possibility. Song is a fucking mess though. I thought by now there definitely would be some that I'm like, that's definitely getting in, that's definitely getting in, that's definitely getting in, to the point that you're overwhelmed, and nothing. I think the one that I have stuck with since the beginning is Nobody Like You from Turning Red. Even Hold My Hand, which is still a lot of people's number 1. When that finally officially released, it underwhelmed. I don't think it's doing very well, and it makes me think that maybe this could slip off and not get the nomination. Applause from Tell It Like a Woman is Diane Warren. Maybe we have just such a weak year that even if this song isn't fantastically great, maybe they finally give it to her for finally, because she's been nominated so many times without a win. Though it would be sad just to get the award just because, you know, everything else sucked. That wouldn't be a great feeling. Stand Up from Till. This just seems like one of those songs that would just get in just based on how many people like the film. And then still have Natu for RRR. Look, I know some of you out there are like huge RRR fans. Would I be upset if it gets into Best Picture, like editing, all that stuff? No, I would not be. But I'm just being realistic. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to at all. But I do think a song nomination is a possibility, and I would fucking love to see this one being performed at the Oscars. Okay, and then lastly, finishing up the last categories, visual effects is exactly the same. Nothing about this one has changed, and like I mentioned last month, it's Avatar. This one, out of any category, is your done deal. 100% Avatar, fucking give it the Oscar, we're done. The rest are just the rest. Although I do want to mention, the first Black Panther didn't get a visual effects nomination, so maybe having it in here and at number 2, maybe not such a good idea, but I don't know. I'll just leave it as is. Animated short, nothing's changed here, but I do still think very strongly about these nominations. So if you guys haven't had a chance to look at these ones yet, do so if you are doing those predictions. Documentary short, I have changed somewhat. I actually like this kind of style I've set up where I'll give you my predictions, and then every month I'll just choose one to really dive deeper into and change a little bit while the other ones stay the same. Just because it is hard to come across what people are saying about these ones, since not a lot of people get a chance to see them early. A lot of people actually don't see any until the nominations comes out, which is sad. We gotta give these people their due credit as well, because they're already getting the shaft by the fucking Oscars and pre-recording their wins. It's fucking bullshit. So give them their dues. I still have Dream Life of Georgia Stone on here. That one seems like it could go all the way. But I also threw in Angola, Do You Hear Us? Voices from a Plantation Prison, where there was a famous play done in a prison. It got shut down. I'm very interested to actually see that one right there. Stranger at the Gate, I threw in there. Long Line of Ladies, I still have. I don't know if I'm 100% confident in that one, but it's an interesting subject that I do want to see. And then the Flag Makers, this one about all of the people who make the flag, the American flag, and a lot of them being, not even like Native Americans, born here in America, if you will. You do get a lot of immigrants that, fucking, like, the country, like, so many people are out to, like, kick them out, and then here they are fucking making the flags, and there's just something poetic about that. So I definitely think that's a strong possibility. And then lastly, live action short, exactly the same, nothing's changed. Shout out to that one person who thought I was crazy for putting Taylor Swift's All Too Well at number 1. Hey, I was looking at some of the reviews and it's doing pretty good, so I think I'm just gonna keep that at my number 1 for now. Remembering I might drop next month, or not drop, but maybe throw lower on the list, because that one's reviews have not been pretty good. We Cry Together from Kendrick Lamar, I think that's a strong possibility. And Forgive Us Our Trespasses, I think that's also a strong possibility. Funeral's the only one that I'm just not quite sure of, but I need to do more research to see what I can swap that one out with. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys for this month. Once again, thank you so much for watching these videos, hearing what nonsense I have to spout, and yeah, telling me what your thoughts are below. I like hearing them. They make me sometimes second guess myself and make me do more research. So yeah, please continue being vocal, criticizing me, agreeing, all that stuff. We're close to seeing all the films so far, or at least the critics seeing all the films. We as general audiences still have a little bit of time to go, but we'll see. I think by my next predictions, we'll have seen just about everything with the exception of Babylon and like Pinocchio, unless those get like early screening somewhere. But January, I think January is really when we're gonna be able to start really taking what everybody's saying and putting it into our predictions. So yeah, very exciting, very exciting. So like always, guys, please stay safe out there and have a good one.